Hello everyone. So today after a ride, as I was checking my oil, I noticed this condensate on the oil dipstick. And as many of you know, this is basically water vapor that's condensed. Also, as this water vapor mixes in with the oil, you'll start to see this white residue that I pulled out, as you see here, from the oil tube. And this residue is really water mixed in with the oil that gets into other parts of the engine and can cause corrosion over time through just the products of combustion as your engine functions. There are various byproducts as gasoline burns, primarily water vapor, CO2, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen. And those gases and the water vapor circulate not only in the oil, but also through some what they call blow-by, which is basically the gases and vapors passing past the piston rings and into the crankcase, get into your oil and circulate. Now, Harley relieves this problem, or takes care of this extra pressure, by putting in vents or breathers. They're located here in the engine underneath these rocker covers circled here in red. And then they also have one on top of the transmission cover. However, that doesn't necessarily take care of all this water vapor and extra gas. There are a number of ways that can help out with this. The two ways that I've seen is through a vented transmission cover, but it appears to me that Harley already has or the newer models have a vented transmission cover. Or another way is through a vented dipstick. The one that I was looking at is made by a company called Fueling. Fueling, as I did a little research, really makes a very nicely engineered vented dipstick that has replaceable oil separators and even a one-way umbrella valve. So here is the Fueling Vented Dipstick. I was able to purchase this from a company called Revzilla. Shipped out to me pretty fast. And the one I got is, of course, for the Softail, the 2025 Softail. And what's included in the package is, of course, this very beautifully machined dipstick from Fueling. This is the newer version, which they updated about 2 years ago, which includes a second O-ring at the top, and as you unthread the cap here, includes an O-ring in the cap. So inside this vented dipstick, you may have seen their videos, is a one-way umbrella valve and a number of oil separators and screens. On top is a sponge, and underneath the sponge is a number of screens and metal separators. Also included in the kit is a hose system to take the oil mist vapor from the cap, route through the bike so it goes up and over the frame and then comes back down. It also includes a quick disconnect which threads onto the top of the cap, or a second option if you didn't want to do the hose is a direct vent to atmosphere right from the cap. The various zip ties in order to tie the hose down to your frame. Loctite 545, which is useful in sealing the threads to protect against seepage, leaking of liquids and gases. Of course, we have the instructions and a very nice sticker. Now, Fueling recommends that you use the quick disconnect and their hose system to route the vented gases and oil mist up and over the frame of the bike and come back down. But I'm not sure I wanted to do that. I wanted to simplify the system. And so I actually called Fueling and spoke with one of their techs and asked them if I actually really needed to, if I used the hose, need to route it up and over. And in speaking with the tech, they informed me that I really didn't need to do that. The reason is the reason they recommended routing up and over was to increase resistance within the system so that not as much oil has a chance to leak out of the system. However, they designed that for all use purposes. In other words, if I had customized this bike with a larger output, or ran the bike very hard or did stunting on the bike, that extra resistance in the hose would be beneficial in preventing leakage of oil through the vented dipstick. However, they said, if you don't do that, it's really not a necessary thing to do. I mean, after all, they do include this direct vent system as part of the options for using their vented dipstick. So the hose is not an absolute necessity. However, because of the quick disconnect, it points straight up. If I wanted to use the hose and just maybe angle it straight down, I didn't want to have this loop that went up and then directly down. And so I asked them if they had perhaps a 90-degree connector where I can more directly route that hose down to the ground. I didn't want to use their direct vent system because that might blow some of the oil mist directly onto the side of the bike. So I did want a hose to maybe route it directly down. And for the later model Softails, that disconnector is pointing up. However, they did tell me for the earlier Dyna models, they did have a 90-degree connector, which would work perfectly. And so I ordered this part, which is a 90-degree connector in which I'll be able to route that hose from the top of the dipstick and then directly down to the ground. This part needs to be ordered separately if you have a later model Softail, so if you're going to do that, I would recommend you just call Feuling and ask them for this part. Now, this is not going to be an install video. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there on the Fueling Vented Dipstick and how to install it. It's a fairly straightforward and easy process, but I'm going to go ahead and start working on it, give you the highlights, and then show you the final product. Okay, so I'm done with the install, and as you can see here, what I did is I did the 90 degree. I timed the cap so that it routes to the back with the quick disconnect. The hose goes around here, and there's just a short travel distance of maybe about 6 inches until it comes to the bottom of the frame. Let me show you over here, bottom of the frame over here. I think that's a good routing. It'll keep mist from blowing directly up onto the side of the bike, and I think it looks pretty nice. Here's the only difficulty, is this dipstick, because of the size, will not come out unless I remove the side cover. It's just one extra step. It's not that difficult because I don't really check the oil that frequently. So if I try to use the quick disconnect, this oil dipstick, the Fueling one, there's not enough clearance between this and the cover to come out. So it just requires removing the cover. So there's the complete install. I'll show you how it works out in a future video. Hopefully I won't see any of that condensation or that white milky substance, which is the mix of the water and the oil together. Anyway, thanks. Hope you enjoyed the video.